Welcome everyone to another edition of Willow's Weather Briefing. Today is Monday, June 16th, 2025. We have an ongoing severe weather sequence currently situated in the plains and will migrate east with a cold front on Wednesday and Thursday. Flash flooding threats exist for the Ohio Valley, Central Appalachians, and Mid-Atlantic. The flooding threat in the Appalachians will continue tomorrow, and other flash flooding risks are coincident with the severe weather threats. Additionally, a fire weather risk exists for portions of the southern basin that includes Las Vegas, and extreme heat continues across much of the desert southwest. Above average temperatures for the rest of the inner west and also for the central to southern high plains. Below average temperatures across the east where rainfall is expected. If you would like a text-based briefing, please refer down to the description below. Here are our storm reports for yesterday. We have a dense area of both severe or giant hail and also severe hail over here in central Montana, and a wide swath of wind reports from yesterday. So the SPC did a great job forecasting this. We had some over 2-inch hail here in Montana yesterday. Here is our drought monitor. The solid lines demarcate the areas of greatest concern with drought. And here's our current watches and warnings. We have an extreme heat warning still here in far southeastern California and also into southern Arizona. We also have red flag warnings here in Nevada, both in western Nevada and southern Nevada, into regions of the plateau and other regions of the basin over here in Utah and Colorado. We also have a heat advisory here in southern New Mexico. Flash flood watches exist over here in the areas of excessive rainfall risk here in the Central Appalachians to the Mid-Atlantic and also portions of the Ohio River Valley. Here is our surface map. We have two areas that we're kind of focused on. Down here, we have a stationary front situated along the Ohio River Valley and into the Mid-Atlantic. Also, we have this frontal regime over here in the plains. This low pressure system right here is kind of what we're focusing on for this enhanced risk today, as it traverses into the state of Minnesota and will be the initiating factor for our thunderstorms. Moving on later today, that low pressure system sort of moves off to the northeast, and the stationary front stays still over here, bringing us some rainfall and thunderstorms to these regions over here. On Wednesday, this low pressure system continues to move off to the northeast, bringing a cold air mass down from Canada, and then that will continue off to the northeast, and another low pressure system will traverse the southern Canadian shield and then bring another cold front down, more cold air into these regions, bringing our severe weather threats mid to late week. Here is our excessive rainfall outlook. We have one area over here in the Ohio River Valley and one over here from eastern North Carolina up towards Central Appalachia. These risks are primarily for 2 to 4 inches of rainfall, at least over here on the east, especially areas such as eastern North Carolina. This region is kind of what we're most concerned about. And also, we have excessive rainfall risk for the Ohio River Valley over here, where we also expect up to 3+ inches of rainfall due to training convection. Day 2 tomorrow, we have a risk across Central Appalachia up towards cities like Pittsburgh and Charleston. We also have a slight risk of excessive rainfall over here towards the plains and Midwest region, include cities like Kansas City and Des Moines. We're primarily looking at 3 inches of rain, looks probable in this risk area over here. And again, a few inches of rainfall looks probable for this risk area towards Appalachia. Day 3, marginal risk of excessive rainfall associated with that cold front moving through. And again, day 4, marginal risk again associated with that cold front moving through. And day 5, marginal risk of excessive rainfall over here in the upper Midwest and Great Lakes. Here's our fire weather outlook. Critical fire weather risk for southern Nevada into southern Utah. That includes cities like Las Vegas and Cedar City. Also, an elevated fire weather risk up here in Washington and far northern Oregon. Day 2 fire weather outlook. Critical fire weather risk for eastern Arizona and western New Mexico. Elevated fire weather risk surrounding that. This includes cities like Las Cruces, Gallup, and Deming, New Mexico. And day 3, critical fire weather risk for the same area as in day 2 tomorrow. Here's our day 1 convective outlook. We have 2 areas of enhanced risk, a bimodal enhanced risk, if you will, for both much of Nebraska and also much of Minnesota. Primary risks will be different based on which mode you're looking at, but for the Minnesota mode, primary concern is going to be large to giant hail. This includes cities like Minneapolis and cities in southwestern Minnesota. The primary risk for Nebraska will be damaging to destructive wind gusts. Over here, this includes cities like Kearney, North Platte, Scottsbluff, Nebraska. Tornado risk fairly low throughout the risk area, but is maximized around that Minnesota risk. A few tornadoes are possible within this risk area, but a tornado too is possible throughout the entire slight risk. Looking at day 2, we have an enhanced risk of severe thunderstorms over here for much of Kansas. This includes cities like Wichita, Topeka, and Lawrence, Kansas. Broader slight risk, looking like a boomerang up here from southeastern Wyoming, curving over to southern Iowa. This is primarily for a damaging wind risk over here in Kansas, but also, this is actually primarily for a large giant hail risk here in Kansas, but also we are concerned about damaging wind over here as well. We also have a 5% tornado risk here, so a few tornadoes are possible within this risk area. And then that cold front starts to push off to the southeast, bringing us some severe thunderstorms in a line starting from Oklahoma up towards southern Michigan. This is primarily for a damaging wind risk, but the hazards will modulate based on where you are here, and we aren't really entirely sure about details yet. And finally, on day 4, our severe weather risk migrates off to the mid-Atlantic to portions of the Northeast over here. This includes cities like Philadelphia, Baltimore, Charlotte, and this is primarily for a damaging wind threat. Here we are going to look at the heat now. The heat in the Southwest continues, but we will get brief reprieve of the heat tomorrow in these regions. Not really too much, though, maybe like a few degrees difference, and that heat will also overspread into portions of the southern plains. But even heat in the southern plains will deplete because we will get a push of cold air into this area, while heat continues to build up once again in the Southwest. We also have heat building over here in the mid-Atlantic because of the warm air advection ahead of that cold front. We will see temperatures well above average, well into the 90s in these regions as well. By Thursday, heat will maximize once again in the southwest, bringing us much above average temperatures. Temperatures well into the 110 degrees Fahrenheit in the Sonora Desert region, a little bit cooler over here in the Chihuahuan Desert region, and also well above average over here in the Basin and Plateau regions of the west. He continues, of course, over here in the east until that cold front completely moves through by late week, bringing us some cooler temperatures over here. But then we have a ridging starting to build starting in the plains, and then we'll migrate a bit east late week and into the weekend, which will bring us much above average temperatures for the central plains and Midwest, and then sort of overspread the Midwestern and Great Lakes region by the end of the weekend. Temperatures all around here are well above average. Temperatures up near northern Illinois and well into the mid 90s, and then elsewhere well above average. Here's our 6 to 10 day temperature outlook, June 21st to 25th. Above average for much of the eastern United States, especially areas of the eastern Ohio River Valley. Below average for much of the western United States. Here's our 6 to 10 day precipitation outlook, above average for much of the northwest and also southern U.S., below average for the eastern U.S., and especially the basin regions of the west. Now, finally, taking a look at our HREF output for today, just to get an idea on timing of storms. We have some ongoing convection still over here in the Midwest, the northern Midwest regions, but that will deplete and then reinvigorate as we get into the afternoons. We have what's called a mesoscale convective vortex kind of spinning up here, and that is going to be our initiation for later on. And because this system is kind of mesoscale, kind of smaller scale, it's kind of tough to predict exactly when storms will fire around this area. But usually storms will fire as we get maximum daily heating, which is usually around 3 to 4 p.m. this time of year. And that's also local time as well. So we'll probably see storms form in the mid-afternoon over here in Minnesota. And that's sort of progged by some of the models here, but the models are really struggling with this event because of the subtleties of the forcing and just the nature of this system. Storms will also form along other portions of the slight risk. That includes Montana and Wyoming, and those storms will form possibly a little bit earlier in the day, uh, maybe about 2 p.m. Mountain Time, maybe even as early as 1 p.m. Mountain Time. And then those storms will move off to the east as well. Regarding our risk in Nebraska, it's looking like storms will form or at least move into the risk area around late afternoon into the evening, which is where the evening hours is probably where when we're going to get minimized risk here in Nebraska. So that is going to be it for today. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe if you want to watch any more weather briefings. Of course, if you want any information regarding your area or any specific information regarding your area, please refer to your local National Weather Service or broadcast meteorologists. Thank you and have a great day.